I had to buy one more because mine broke. I'm going to be brutally honest with you in this video. At this point, we've all seen those videos, TikToks, Instagram reels, and pictures of these beautiful stationery and tech, and it's just so tempting to buy. But sometimes, bestie, our wallet isn't as enthusiastic as our heart. On Instagram and YouTube, I asked you what are some things in the study community that you always see and you really want to buy but don't know if they are worth the money. So in this unsponsored video, I'll give you my unbiased, honest opinions on whether these things you see in the STUDYTUBE and StudyGram community are worth buying or not. I'll also give you cheaper and better alternatives for each one. At the end of the video, I'll give you my top suggestion on what you should have for your desk setup. All products mentioned in this video will be linked down below if you're interested. I literally spent 3 hours linking everything. Number 1. Should students buy an iPad? This is the number 1 question that I received on Instagram. I have owned an iPad for the last 3 years and I'll talk about the advantages before the disadvantages. First, you can make really neat notes as everything on the iPad is customizable. I use the app GoodNotes. Number 2, with an iPad, you can actually save a lot of paper because you don't have to print out everything that your teacher gives you anymore. You can also erase any mistakes that you have in your notes. You don't need to keep rewriting notes for all you perfectionists. Personally, I love using my iPad for mind mapping and recapping topics before exams. You can also save a lot of money in the long run if a lot of your textbooks are available online for free. The most useful thing I find is that I can use the iPad to annotate anything. Other than being able to annotate all my law textbooks right here, I'm also a science student, which means that I have a lot of lab reports. And if you've been in a lab or any class in general, you know how messy our notes can get because we're rushing. So I love how I can just scribble everything down and then rewrite at the end of the day. I can also submit papers without needing to print them. And the last advantage of an iPad is how beautiful it is, okay? Honestly, if owning an iPad is enough to motivate you to study harder, then that's more than enough of a reason to get one. You don't have to feel guilty about that. However, the iPad is really expensive. And for most of us, we don't just have money floating around, so here are my brutally honest opinions on the disadvantages I've experienced with having an iPad for so many years. The biggest thing that most people don't realize when they buy an iPad are all the hidden costs. You don't just buy the iPad and the pen. Okay, like most things in Apple, you need to buy everything separately. First, as a student, you need to buy a note-taking app, and the one you see most often on social media is called GoodNotes, and that's the one that I use too. Second, an iPad case. This one has lasted me 3 years. I'll link it down below. These are the essentials, but here are other things I've had to spend my money on after owning an iPad. Pen tip replacements, because I'm a student and I write a lot. Paper-like screen protector and a replacement Apple Pencil. I had to buy one more because mine broke. So this is your actual cost of buying an iPad, and here's the cost of maintaining it. Another disadvantage that most people don't talk about is that your study style might change. I've noticed that for some subjects, typing is more efficient than writing on an iPad. For example, law. Also, biology in university is very different to A-levels and high school. There is just too much to handwrite. In classes too, lecturers just speak too fast for me to handwrite. I need to use my laptop. On top of that, I've noticed during exam season when I'm rushing, I didn't even touch my iPad at all. I just typed all my notes out because that was faster. Also, having some of my notes in my laptop and then others in my iPad was just getting kind of messy, so I just switched to using my laptop altogether. My advice is, if you're starting out a new level of education like high school to college or college to university, I suggest waiting a few months first. See if digitalizing your handwritten notes will be a huge time saver or advantage for you. Maybe you don't even do handwritten notes anymore. That happens to a lot of students. Here's my conclusion on whether you should get an iPad. Overall, I don't think it's fair to say that an iPad is overrated because it does have a lot of benefits to using it, especially since it's so convenient, it's pretty, and it's durable. If you have the money, go for it. However, I will only suggest getting an iPad after these conditions. You already have a good laptop. It's better to upgrade your laptop first before getting an iPad. you like to handwrite your notes or you're a visual learner, and a lot of the textbooks and papers you use are free in PDF or ebook format. And the most important thing I want you besties to realize is that your results won't improve just because you have an iPad. If you use the same study methods, your grades won't magically improve just because your notes are now on a screen instead of paper. And that's the truth. Here's a cheaper and highly underrated alternative. Get a whiteboard. These are much cheaper than an iPad, of course, and here is how you can use it to maximize your academic potential. Organize your thoughts on it before writing your notes. This will save you paper because you don't need to rewrite if your notes are unorganized. Use it to recap on your topics during revision, and use it to plan your study day or stick on reminders. Of course, a whiteboard can't fully replace an iPad, but you'll be surprised at how useful of a study tool it actually is. Next, do you need an extra monitor? Look at how beautiful these setups are. I can understand why you besties are obsessed with them. I had a monitor for 1 year. You can see it in my older vlogs and videos. Here is my honest opinion. It was a great monitor and good for multitasking, but I don't think it was necessary at all, and that's the reason why I sold mine. Here are the advantages of using a monitor. First, it can help you with your posture and reduce back pain and neck pain because all of you look like turtles using your laptop. I see you. It also has a bigger screen so it doesn't strain your eyes. You can open multiple tabs at once and multitask. Here are the cons. You will still need to buy a separate keyboard and mouse. These are hidden costs that you might not have considered at first. I also needed to buy an entirely new table because my old one didn't fit my monitor. In my opinion, unless you do things like coding, editing, gaming, or graphic design, something with a lot of workload, I don't really think it's necessary to have such a large second screen. I also go to cafes and libraries very often, so I don't use my monitor for studying all that much. This is not an alternative, but here's something you can consider getting if you don't have a monitor. Get a laptop stand. It props your laptop up at a fraction of the cost. It helps with your posture too. If you aren't comfortable with typing at an angle, you can get an affordable keyboard like mine. I'll link it down below. Honestly, it's just better if you can use the extra money to invest in your laptop than an extra monitor. Next, are Mildliners worth it? Also, are Tomboy brush pens worth it? We see these pens everywhere, and usually people have like tens to hundreds of them, but are they really worth it? When it comes to pretty stationery, if you can afford them, buy them. Who doesn't want to look at pretty things while they study? My personal experience with Mildliners aren't very good. They bled through my papers, so I just threw them away. They weren't worth it in my opinion.
I actually think that these are really good dupe for the Mildliners. They're also pastel highlighters and they don't bleed through my papers.
My advice is to make full use of the stationery that you already have first. Use plain pieces of paper to do different note-taking styles first before getting a fancy notebook if you feel like you'll be more productive. Try circling, underlining, and annotating with your current pens first, then only go and buy 4 other colors if you feel that you'll be more organized that way. Remember that your skills will always be more important than your tools. Usain Bolt will still win me in a race even if he's barefoot and I'm wearing the best running shoes in the world. It's the same logic. Even if you don't have an iPad, still check out my video titled How I Take Notes on My iPad Pro because I explain a lot of really good note-taking tips that you can apply on regular paper even if you don't have an iPad. You can check it out here. Next, are mini printers worth it?
An advertisement might play in the next few seconds, so if you want to support this channel, please do not skip the ads. Thank you!
I actually have one. It's here, this one. It's so cute and aesthetic when other people use it. When I use it, I think it's annoying. I'll scan a few pictures of my biology notes, but you can see here that I like my pictures to have different sizes and shapes, and a mini printer just doesn't have that versatility. Based on my experiences, I do not recommend that you get one for studying, but I do recommend that you get one for journaling. It's compact and cute and perfect for printing little pictures for journaling, but for studying, I still suggest that you get a full-sized printer. Or you can just go to your school's printer. Other than being able to print out anything that you need, here's how I use a printer in place of a mini printer for my notes. Let's just say I'm halfway doing my notes and I need to print a diagram out. I'll just write a little description here, Then I'll send the diagrams, graphs, or pictures that I need to my laptop. I'll just adjust all the pictures I need to print out for my notes on a single Word document. I print these out, cut them, and that's done. Sometimes I realize the mini printer, it prints things too small so I can't even see the diagram. And you don't even need to buy a printer if your school already has one. Next, should you get a treadmill desk or a standing desk? I see this all the time on TikTok, queens being so productive on their treadmill desk. It is true, working while walking is a great way to exercise and it also increases your productivity. This is something that I want to try. I've also mentioned before in one of my videos that standing while studying is a great way to keep you alert and focused. But not all of us have the space or money to splash out on a standing desk or walking pad. What I've been using instead for so many years in Malaysia is an exercise ball. I bought one yesterday for just $20 and that included the pump. If done properly, there are so many exercises you can do while sitting on the exercise ball to improve your posture and your health. Personally, I'm someone that fidgets a lot when they study, so having an exercise ball just means that I can get rid of my excess energy and it helps me stay focused. Next, the study until the candle dies trend, and should you use candles when studying? There's this cute trend going around where people study until their candle dies. I think it's pretty effective and motivating. I want to try that too. However, I did notice that it takes about 1 to 2 hours at least for the candle to go out. If you're not used to studying for that long, then don't do this trend every day or you're burnt out. I think that doing this trend once a week is a really good idea as a large revision session to recap on what you've learned so far. When it comes to studying with candles in general, having a familiar scent can actually help with your memory. But try to phase that out when it's close to exam season. I explained why in my latest video titled How to Improve Your Results in 2023 that you can check out here. And lastly, here is the #1 thing that most students neglect when it comes to their study setup. What do all these videos have in common? Bad lighting. This is the lamp that I have. You can change the temperature of the light, the brightness, and the angle, which is the most important. Try to angle your light in a way that does not cast harsh shadows on your workspace. I don't know if these videos are dark just for the aesthetic, but when you besties send me videos of you studying, I noticed that a lot of you don't study in good lighting. Make sure that you're working in a bright environment. Don't underestimate how much bad lighting can negatively affect your concentration, your eyes, and finally, your overall performance. If you've made it this far, comment down below if you have been tempted or not to buy any of the gadgets and stationery that I mentioned. Make sure you check out my latest YouTube shorts that I posted this week. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell and set it to all so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Thank you for 828,000 subscribers, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye bye!